If you are on any hip social media platform on the side of Gen Alpha humor and yogurt reels, your brain has likely been infiltrated by countless quotes to the tune of 6-7 chopped or
wash my belly.
I am well aware that this video will become outdated in a few weeks. Gen Alpha and Z alike will coin me as Unk, and I will have made a complete fool of myself for the sake of indexicality. But I do believe that this deep dive has the potential to serve as a placeholder to mark where we are in the world of Brainrot as of November 15th, 2025. I will be coming at this topic from the perspective of an anthropology student, so naturally I am very focused on the cultural development and use of these silly terms, as well as the consequences and conclusions we are able to draw from them. The Cambridge Dictionary describes the field of anthropology as, quote, the study of the human race, its culture and society, and its physical development, end quote. Linguistic anthropology focuses on the influence of language on cultures and societies, and will be the subsection I will be diving more into today. Quote, in this part of the world, it is considered a ground for complaint if a man's writings admit of more than one interpretation. While England endeavors to cure the potato rot, will not any endeavor to cure the brain rot, which prevails so much more widely and fatally? As H.D. Thoreau wrote his book on living surrounded by nature, touching grass as one would say, I doubt he predicted the emergence of AI slop such as Bombardillo crocodile. The evolution of the term brain rot began with this very author and book in 1854, long before Italian brain rot or the emergence of AI Jake Paul. Despite this, the excerpt from Thoreau's book holds up surprisingly well. Brain rot does evidently, quote, prevail so much more widely and fatally, end quote. I could not begin to explain how many times I have heard or repeated the same few quotes from TikTok or Instagram Reels. I can feel my brain disintegrating with every utterance of 6-7 that escapes my mouth, despite wanting so desperately to engage in more meaningful media. I am not immune to the influence and intentional algorithmic draw toward these popular audios, and I would venture to say that nobody truly is. When I think of brain rot, I am reminded of the various Italian AI characters, Stan Twitter, Skibidi Toilet, and 6-7. Of course, if you allowed me to think a little longer, my inclination toward history would bring me to mention Vine. 21, Adam, and Road Work Ahead, yeah, I sure hope it does, had my middle school self hooked. While these examples are not usually associated with the brain rot we know and love in 2025, I truly believe they helped lay the groundwork for pop culture-related repetition within interjections. Growing up, my friends and I would sprinkle popular quotes from that week into our conversations wherever there was a moment where words could not suffice. The amount of times I said slay or material girl went by since the beginning of Awkward Silence is embarrassing to say the least. But it is indicative of the time and memorable enough to make me want to explore why. Humans are social creatures, and thank goodness for that, I love the field of anthropology. We require meaningful interaction and connection, and therefore need some level of similarity, or the ability to click with people we surround ourselves with. For this reason, I wish the very first anthropologists could have witnessed Tumblr fandoms. They are shockingly representative on a smaller scale of the social nature of humans, and what can be achieved when signals of relatability are received by our peers. If you remember the I like your shoelaces, thanks, I stole them from the president thing on Tumblr, you're my favorite. This is kind of an artificially made adjacency pair that can just kind of go to show the tendencies of human beings when it comes to conversation. I like your shoelaces is to thanks, I stole them from the president, as how are you is to I'm good, but in the world of Tumblr. Anyone who is aware of these social signals, even if it requires more information to properly understand, as with the former example of I like your shoelaces, will make an attempt to fit in with their speech community, which is just the people that you're talking to and surrounding yourself with in conversation. The norms within each community may vary, but the speakers will have some sense of understanding with their chosen group. They will also purposefully adhere to the set norms. To elaborate, if I had a sinking suspicion you were a Tumblr user, I would casually say, I like your shoelaces. And if you caught the reference, you would make sure to reply with the agreed upon response, thanks, I stole them from the president. Any other response in this situation would result in confusion or the reduction of relationship points in true Sims fashion. Personally, when I mention my favorite quote, such as, "Brother, may I have some oats?" I feel more of a connection with those around me who understand my reference without the explanation. Receiving this type of reassurance can make one continue the action. That's why there are so many of the same quotes going around. They are appealing to a community that will understand their speech patterns and give them some views in the process. And it works, because people will continue to send 6-7 memes to their peers who have similar humor in an attempt to relate, because at our core, what we want is company. As Nicole Lamarique of NicoleLamariques.com insists, quote, "Repetition is a pleasure in fandom. We love rewatching our favorite content, covering our favorite songs, and seeing our favorite characters and new stories. I describe these feelings as part of effective repetition in fandom, which can take many shapes. The pleasure of repetition is effect, but so is shipping, identifying with a particular character, or role-playing in our favorite world. The pleasure of repetition hinges first of all on familiarity." End quote. Inclination toward things that are familiar to us is a tale as old as time. I know personally I hesitate to consume media that I am not already familiar with. I have been rewatching the same movies and shows since I was old enough to develop an opinion. Memes do not last forever. I can't recall the last time I witnessed someone tell me it's muffin time or share an image of Big Chungus, but there's a reason that these widespread quotes or images start to become annoying. We share them so much in an attempt to be part of a like-minded group that they lose their original meaning and become a sign that someone is not keeping up with the current trends. Musicality primarily focuses on how gentle references interact with meaning socially, and I feel it relates strongly to the topic at hand. Let's take Big Chungus as an example. This rabbit, based off of the nostalgic Bugs Bunny, made his way into the hearts of countless people in 2018 due to the story of a parent's misunderstanding, believing Chungus to be a video game character. One of those "so unfunny it must be spread around" memes, like so many we know today. But I would be lying if I said 11 to 12-year-old me found Chungus to be unfunny. I loved him. Now, in 2025, the term "F my Chungus life" is slowly becoming popular. Not only is this a nod to the infamous Big Chungus, but a very real example of indexicality evolving with the times. Big C began as a silly image to send to friends, memify, or use as a reaction image, but now has become a more lighthearted way to complain about something. For example, "I failed my quiz, F my Chungus life." The name Chungus is still referential to the bunny character, but is being used for a different purpose, primarily for laughter originally, versus becoming a playful way to communicate grievances. While this all seems rather fine and dandy, the popularization of these terms have led to various negative results. While doing my daily scroll through Instagram one day, I came across a photo of a list of banned terms in a classroom somewhere. Of course, I would not take it at face value. Instagram has never been the best place to blindly follow, but it did pique my interest. In a Substack article by Dr. Stacy Patton, this phenomenon is condemned. Language is alive. It grows, it bends, it shapeshifts. What kids say in the hallway or slip into classroom chatter isn't corruption of English. It's how they build culture, humor, identity, and connection. End quote. I feel this quote summarizes her point that these terms, no matter how odd they may seem, are important to the culture of younger generations and should not be censored. From a purely curious standpoint, I completely agree with Dr. Patton. If we hinder the development of other linguistic aspects, there is a very good chance we would not have fully accurate information on language's effect on society. It is incredibly interesting to see such a large group of people collectively understand these linguistic symbols, such as chopped, and communicate through them. With the popularization of social media, we get to witness, in real time, how quickly these terms will spread, as well as their effectiveness when it comes to building community. So what? You have come so close to the end of the ramblings of a yappy university student, but what is the point? After looking at these various sources and rotting my brain with reels and TikToks, I have come to the conclusion that though these terms may be annoying, nonsensical, and downright silly, I fully believe they represent how language use impacts cultural and social interaction. We are seeing communities develop through accounts dedicated to spreading brain rot humor, hypothetical conversations involving yogurt, and too many numbers to count. We are witnessing strangers build off of each other's jokes, anonymous entities uniquely expanding upon Obama's "let me be clear" quote, and the distribution of popular reaction images featuring dogs, macaques, and hamster doodles. Online communities have their own social norms, from ways of speaking to specific terms or phrases. These collectives have their own culture, and therefore are worth looking at from an anthropological perspective. I am sure Edward Sapir, a famous linguist and anthropologist, did not expect this field to evolve in such a way, but I believe he would be interested as well. The linguistic tendencies of the brain-rotted, chronically online side of the internet greatly affects the culture in the space. Memes are used to interact as well as present ideas, and each idea has the opportunity to become a meme. This is pretty reminiscent of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, where language impacts culture and culture impacts language. This cycle can be looked at in so many different ways, and I feel that is what makes it related to the social science of anthropology. Humans are so distinct, with our ability to interact in so many different forms, inter- and intraculturally. Societies are incredibly complex and unique, but have become united under the group of humanity as a whole. Online communities are no different. Though they are a very recent discovery in comparison to rich historical cultures in real life, these groups have their own methods of communication and values. I fully think this justifies my belief that groups on the net are just as worthy of anthropological study as any other group in the offline world. The internet is a developing ecosystem. We have heroes, history, trolls, and traditions. While communication online is primarily based upon established languages and existing norms in the natural world, users have adapted to and helped evolve other ways of communicating on the World Wide Web. Linguistic anthropology is a huge subsection of an even larger discipline, and I hope that in time it will expand to include more consideration for the countless unique communities on the other side of our screens.